A few picks ago, I focused on dads. Now it's time to check out some very disturbing stories about mothers on the Best in Horror Countdown 2019 to 2020, covering the Best in Horror from October 1st, 2019 until September 30th, 2020. Welcome to the official Best in Horror 2019-2020 countdown on ML Miller Frights, a part of the Kings of Horror Network. I'm ML Miller. Be sure to give this video a like, share it with your buddies across the electronic superhighway, click subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you're in the Chicago area and love horror, you have no excuse not to head out to the Chi-Town Movies Drive-In for Music Box of Horrors. Every night in October for 31 nights, there will be late shows, Sunday through Thursday, and double features every Friday and Saturday night. Every weekend is themed: Grindhouse Fridays, Rip-Off Saturdays, and Sequel Sundays. Tonight is one of the very last double features that they're going to be showing. They're showing the amazing Black Christmas, one of my all-time favorite horror films, by director Bob Clark, along with Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 5, The Toy Maker. And it's a movie. This is a Christmas party in October that you do not want to miss. Look below for a link in the schedule, where to get tickets, and directions to this awesome horror event. Coming in at number 2 is RELIC. It released on July 10th, 2020. It's available on digital download and on demand from IFC Midnight. RELIC is directed by Natalie Erika James and written by Natalie Erika James and Christian White. Emily Mortimer plays Kay, a single mother who lives a busy lifestyle. A lifestyle so busy that weeks go by and she has not had contact with her mother, Edna, played by Robin Nevin. When a neighbor calls Kay and says she hasn't seen or heard from Edna in about a week, she gathers up her adult daughter, Sam, played by Bella Heathcote, and heads out to her mother's home in the country. When she arrives, Kay finds little post-it notes reminding Edna to do day-to-day things scattered about the home, and the home is left as if Edna has simply vanished. After a few days of looking in the forest for Edna, Kay finds her mother standing in the kitchen and acting as if nothing had happened. Signs are pointing to there being something very wrong with the house they're living in, with mysterious shadow forms moving about, and odd sounds coming from just behind the walls. But is all of this something paranormal, or just part of Edna's mind giving away to dementia? I like to label films like Hereditary, The Lodge, The Lighthouse, and Midsummer as sorrow porn, where it is almost as if the director is gleefully putting the actors and the viewer through the same type of sadism that those who made the torture porn trend so mainstream in the aughts. It's funny because a lot of the filmmakers who make those films would definitely turn their nose up to those torture porn films, but they still have the same effect of the audience. And while RELIC deals with the similar subject matter and is emotionally heavy in its own right, it's a tight and suspenseful film about tragedy and loss, framed with quite a few effective horror trappings. While Avi Arad, Robert Eggers, and the pairing of Severin Fiala and Veronica Franz think that in order to feel something, the audience must endure that feeling for an extremely long amount of butt-in-the-seat time, Natalie Erika James is able to achieve the same levels of emotional intensity in a tight hour and a half, never lingering fetishistically on scenes to blatantly drive the point home. RELIC deals with subject matter that has been long dissected in recent horror films like Hereditary and The Taking of Deborah Logan, focusing on a loved one who is literally degenerating mentally and physically before our eyes. The subject of old age is one that often hits me hard, as I witnessed relatives deteriorate rather quickly quite a few times in the past, and have an aged mother living on her own who one day might not be able to do so. I have a feeling director, co-writer Natalie Erika James may have witnessed tragic events such as this as well. This is a film that overflows with heartache, regret, grief, and tragedy, and does so in a morbidly beautiful and tragically poetic way that only one who has endured such sorrow could understand. All three of the leading ladies of Relic are excellent in their roles. James's characters are lived in, complex, faulted, and all too human. Nevin's Edna gives a physically and emotionally demanding performance that challenges both Kay and Sam to their limits. Mortimer's Kay is a divorcee, struggling with work, and seems like she cannot take the burden of her mother's care at this time in her life. Heathcote's Sam is aimless, working in a bar and clueless as to where her life will take her. When Kay and Sam are met with the challenge of deciding what is best to do with Edna in the state she is in, they have vastly different reactions. But as tensions begin to shift and morph concerning Edna's condition, Kay and Sam's positions shift in a very real and understanding way. This makes the film, despite the paranormal ongoings, very believable. And this believability makes it all the easier to suck in the viewer and hold their investment in a chokehold. While Relic is very much a story about real tragedy, it beautifully incorporates elements of horror from the very beginning. The house Edna lives in is alive, shifting and changing its structure to match whose story is going on. There are moments where Sam and Kay are wandering through the house, and the twists and turns seem endless. As Edna's mind decays, Kay and Sam experience all the horror, discomfort, and disorientation one might feel during dementia through their witness of shadow figures, odd noises, and maze-like corridors that are uncovered as they explore the home. All of this plays out in a beautiful yet twisted climax that must be seen to be believed as metaphor becomes reality and the truth is understood by all. It's one thing to throw out emotions and recklessly heap them on top of one another in an almost joyous fashion and wear a viewer down for an extended runtime. It's another thing entirely to make a complex story about emotion, yet also make it interesting, to the point, and powerful in a much more truncated amount of time. One simply wears you down, while the other, Relic, entertains and takes you on a journey dealing with the same kind of themes without making you wanting to check into a clinic afterwards. Relic is a masterfully realized story filled with rich themes and intense emotions. Any other year it'd be on the top of my list. There is an effective amount of horror, including a very grueling effects scene towards the end that will make even the hardest horror fan's skin crawl. The final scene in Relic is utterly horrifying, yet fills and deflates the heart all at once. Simply magnificent. Relic is not popcorn horror. It's deeply disturbing and soulfully resonant, and I guarantee this is a film you won't be able to shake after viewing. See this movie. For another film about the horrors of motherhood, I present to the court M.O.M, Mothers of Monsters. This was released on March 13th, 2020. M.O.M, Mothers of Monsters, is available on digital download and on demand. It's also streaming on Tubi. Tucia Lyman directed and wrote this film. Melinda Page Hamilton plays Abby Bell, a distraught mother whose 16-year-old son Jacob, played by Bailey Edwards, is exhibiting troubling behaviors that lead her to believe that he's a budding psychopath. With a history of mental illness in her family, and Abby showing signs of mental issues herself that seem to be medicated but not really treated, it seems it's only a matter of time before Jacob does something horrible. Abby becomes addicted to filming Jacob during his tantrums and tirades, and goes so far as to set up security cameras through the house in hopes to fully understand his actions and gather evidence to hopefully pass on to the other mothers suffering from the same predicament. While I usually go through the motions of my found footage questionnaire on this type of first-person POV type film, I feel the subject matter and the themes are more interesting to talk about than whether or not it follows my rigid guidelines as to the authenticity of the format. Let's just get it out of the way and say that despite a song being played over the end credits, this film follows the format to a T. There's no score added to amplify emotion. There's a reason to keep on filming. And though the film is edited together from multiple cameras, the story is so compelling that I was willing to forgive it. Hamilton does a fantastic job as Abby, delivering a soul-wrenching performance as someone pushed to her limits. Much like the mother in The Babadook, you feel her plight as you bear witness to the problems she is having with Jacob. At the same time, it's pretty apparent that Abby is a sick woman herself. She wears gloves all the time. She's unkempt and unwashed, Jacob mentions this numerous times, and looks absolutely manic while giving her testimonials in the camera. She also was very resistant to therapy herself, cutting off interventions made by her mother, played by Jana Ulrich Brooks, and her therapist, played by the one and only Ed Asner. While she is beside herself because of the situation she's in with Jacob, her own mental issues amplify the problems exponentially. Bailey Edwards does an equally great job here as Jacob. While he does have that snotty know-it-all and angsty attitude attached to most teenagers, he also seems to take a lot of joy in the pain he is causing his mother. As the footage his mother takes of him is revealed, his actions seem to confirm a lot of her fears. Edwards' performance helps you empathize with Jacob, no small order, given the horrors he puts his mom through. The real question in M.O.M, Mothers of Monsters, is who do you believe? Is Jacob a psychopath in the making, or is he the victim living with a deranged mother? Up until the last act, I was thinking those questions, and finding myself doubting my decisions and doubling back on them numerous times as the film played out. The final act goes on for a bit too long, but offers up gut-wrenching answers to these questions that are satisfying, yet so very, very sad. This film is such an ordeal, but a satisfying one, given the fact that both of the lead performances do such a masterful job of realizing such a terrible situation. M.O.M is a true psychological horror. It delves deep into the psyches of two extremely sick people and illustrates horror in a very real-world way. This is writer-director Tucia Lyman's first feature film. Lyman handles the material in a sensitive yet thorough and deft way. She delivers a film with no easy answers, but manages to keep the tension going until the very end. With powerful performances, a gripping story, and a format that places you right in the heart of the madness, M.O.M, Mother of Monsters, is real-life tragedy that I highly recommend. That'll be it for today. Check back in tomorrow for my next pick on the countdown. Please chime in down in the comments and let me know what you think of these films, how on the nose or mind-numbingly wrong I am, or you can counter with your own list. If you like this video, please pound that thumbs up button. Share this video with your social media addicted pals. If you're looking for written reviews, you can find them on mlmillerwrites.com. That's where you can find the rest of this countdown as well. Don't forget I have 2 new horror comic book trade paperbacks that you should look for. GRAVETRANCERS is out right now, and Pirouette, collecting never-before-published issues, will be out in late November, early December, Diamond Order Code APR 201712. And be sure to subscribe to this channel, and ring that bell for notifications, so you can be the first to see my future videos. Thank you so much for your time, and take care.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're doomed. Oh, you're doomed. You're